2022. We'll start with a roll call vote, or roll call, pardon me, not vote. Nate Wilson.
Here.
Alvin Powell.
Here.
Jessica Bebelar. Here. Doreen Harmon. Here. Marilyn Rodman. We're all present. Debbie is out tonight. She had to be at another meeting. So everyone please stand for prayer. Derek, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for your many blessings that You've given this community through its leadership, its progress, and its projects that it's about to undertake. Make us mindful of the needs of others and keep us in Your loving care. In Thy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Ed, would you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, attention to the flag. Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
We have the approval of minutes for the city council meeting and the public hearing, which was June the 27th, and a special call meeting, which was July the 18th, to approve the grants. There was the ordinance for the grant for applying for the Monteagle grant for sidewalks. That was what the special meeting was for. And it was just for the application. It was a resolution in which we had to pass with the grant was $1,187,500, which we would just have the $62,500 of matching for sidewalks and lighting, which would start on the side of High Point and go all the way down to the Monteagle, which would be covering the schools and crosswalks for that. Yeah, but I was just saying that's what's in your packet. We need to approve those minutes.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor? Then first we'll have committees. We're going to go ahead and go to utilities because someone's got to go out of town. We do have our engineer here with us tonight, and John is here. John, do you have anything that you're...
Nope, not really. Nothing Travis won't cover.
Okay.
John, could you tell us about the lake, the level of the lake?
9.8.
So it's actually go up. There's not this stable.
Over the past 3 weeks, went down 2 foot.
2 foot.
11 now 90.
So where are we at? We're still in a good...
Yeah, 87 first trigger point.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, that's fine.
Just an update on, we're still working on the capacity analysis for the water and sewer. We have performed drawdown tests at the sewer pump stations, several of those. The last several weeks, we have gathered usage data from the water consumption to build diurnal patterns to use in the model. And so right now we're working on inputting all that information into the model and build scenarios so that we can have everything ready to simulate both sewer and water models so that we can discuss capacity at different points of the system on both of those. We anticipate having that complete mid-August. We still have some more information that we're trying to gather. So we're getting with vendors for pumps to get pump curves. And so some of that is not within our control until we get that information. So we're trying to work as quickly as possible to get that information just because we know how important it is. So, but we do know that it's important to get it correct and get the information that we need. So we're still working on that. We are still tracking grants, the ARP grants, working with the development district on securing funds from the ARP process. We anticipate hearing back from CDBG and SRF later over the next month or so. It's when they're due. Actually, the SRF should have already announced, but we figured that they would be a little later just because of all the ARP funding information that's coming out. So over the next couple of months, we anticipate hearing from those two funding agencies about
because of multiple factors, with the assessment we need to do, with the capacity test, we need to know where trigger points with growth in the future would be, for funding with American Recovery Funds, was at this point in time, we've been working on it for, what, a year or so? But we said, until we know where those points are with the growth that's happening in Monteagle, we're, of course, and we do have a letter here from our attorney, that we are just not connecting to anyone outside of the city until this is completed. Then we'll know what our trigger points are with purchases and for other items. But the town is by no means under a moratorium. We just, after your advice, the advice from John, Southeastern Development, to see we're growing, we need to know how we can take care of our own residents and where we're going, because we've got multiple things happening here, but also there's a lot happening outside of the city, you know, that we want to make sure we got capacity and when those trigger points do happen.
That's correct. Excuse me. So the town is being proactive in obtaining that information. We're not under a moratorium. You know, it's been a process over the last year and a half in gathering data that we had. You know, we went from paper maps and limited information to now we have GIS layers for the water, the storm, the sewer. We've gathered condition ratings for the storm. We performed the hydrant testing on the water side. Now we're gathering all the capacity information for both of those. So it's a process that's taken 18 months to get to this point. But we are doing this so that we will know, you know, what capacity is remaining, because the way the system's built on the sewer side, it involves multiple pump stations that have to be, sewer has to be pumped to the plant. So nothing gravity flows to the plant. And so it's very important to make sure you understand what the pump stations are doing, what the capacity of the pumps are, the capacity of the force main. And so up until this point, we have, you know, we haven't had that information. And so, but it's a process of obtaining the field data, the GIS data, and now the modeling information to put all those together to obtain that. Once the town has that, then y'all are set up for growth and can determine capacity on any part of your system, no matter, you know, who's hooking on or how many units need to hook on, pipe sizes, pump ratings, you know, all those pieces of information will be available at that time. So I feel like the town's being proactive in obtaining this ahead of time instead of waiting until TDEC comes in and places a moratorium, which they have not.
Well, and they wouldn't, of course, unless we had a limited capacity, because we came out from a moratorium. John was there, of course, and Vanderbilt when that was there before. We came on board and we came out from that shortly afterward. And the sewer, when we were working on the sewer plant prior, we increased the size of the pipes to where we would grow. Now we're looking, and that's the reason we built the sewer plant with modular. Now we're looking at the growth we've had to make sure we can. We still have the I-9 you're dealing with the assembly, and also that you're dealing with Tracy City to get them to take care of those problems as we work on our own. But another thing, we must have this on our scorecard to be able to even qualify for American Recovery money. Like we got the $4.5 million forgiven whenever I did the stimulus money when we did the first plant, correct, John? So that's what we're getting ready, so that's the reason we've got to be proactive. And for clarification, I know you said we've got stormwater and we've got our water and sewer, and we've got our hydrants, which you made the recommendation, instead of letting a 3-year process the way it was being reviewed, that we go with a company, which it cost us $7 after we did the math on it, correct? That's the reason we added those, right around $7,000. But at least now it can be done annually with the fire department.
That's correct.
And
And all the
John-
information is incorporated into the GIS.
So this is something that we had worked on and you recommended that we do, and we took care of that. So,
That's correct.
and Nate, now to transfer the file that Travis needs, that we've already got developed from Southeastern Development on the roads. You were out of
Yes.
town, can you
I-
get that to him so
Yeah.
he can incorporate that? And that should be, what, about 95% of what we need.
I have a road shape file that I went through and edited to make the roads list.
And keep
from-
review.
Yeah, I can share that with you.
Yep, that'd be great.
And I apologize, I meant to share with you already.
Yep, that's good. We can add that.
He asked me about that today, and I said, if we give that to him, then both of you had reviewed it, you and I had reviewed it, Nate sent it back to you, you reviewed it, so we're ready to send that to them, and you can incorporate that into our GIS, and
Yep.
that's about 95% complete, and we can finish the other 5%
That's
as we
right.
go.
It'll be available just with all the rest of your maps that are online, so you'll have access to those.
And we'll get with Southeastern Development, so what they can have access, I know there's proprietary things we cannot like the water
That's right.
and the sewer, but as far as roads and things like that, that we can share with.
That's right. We can share out password protect different parts of the system to whomever needs access.
But only as an access needed
That's
because
right.
of the proprietary
That's
things,
correct.
damage that could happen to the water plant.
That's
You know,
correct.
You would never think it happened, but it could. Council, do you have any other questions for Frank? Nate?
No, you said, do you think the full report for water and sewer will be ready in August?
I think we'll have preliminary results mid-August. We'll be able to bring those to the board and discuss, and then we'll be able to, the final report will be a little bit lengthier after that. So we'll have some preliminary results to share.
We're gonna discuss later in this meeting a strategic planning RFP process that we wanna start, and it'll be informed by that data, so that'll be helpful to have. We'll want to plug that in and provide a result.
I think the date we were looking at is what, around August the 15th, we're hoping to have
Yep,
some
that's what we're shooting for, the week of the
information.
15th, have some
Yeah.
preliminary results that we can discuss.
John, do you have anything else that,
No, I don't.
yes, well, perhaps enjoy your vacation.
Okay.
He's
All right.
going first, so we could go and start his vacation. Thanks for
Okay.
coming home. We
Thank you.
appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
Great.
You might want your phone on your
Yep.
vacation. We'll try not to call you, Travis.
Thank you.
Police Department, Don.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Don.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
I'm standing for chief tonight. My name is Officer Burnett, Monteagle Police Department. We had 7 arrests for the month of July. Unfortunately, I can't give the stats on our drug cases because we're still waiting on the results to come back from the crime lab TBI. That's all I have.
I know that you all are planning on being here with some of the events we're having, like the mountain market, y'all were here for Red Cross Day, we appreciate that. But I'm not even sure who else was here, but I know that we have the presence of, our safety. I know Jared was there for a bit, the chief.
I think Officer Rayline was there. I think our new officer Cody was at that
I
event.
know that we appreciate that, and of course, we've talked to him about, this past week, we're gonna have a fresh food mart. We're gonna start that, so we can say that somebody come by to the pavilion on Thursday, correct, Doreen?
Yes.
And then we will have a feast on the street, which will be Thursday, also up at Parton Park. So if somebody's, around to do that, and of course, this weekend will be the mountain market and the Jeep invasion, and we've already talked to the chief about that. So that you guys just, we'll send those to you if you don't have them on your calendar, to make sure you do, but I think the chief's got it.
You don't want police presence there fully or just?
No, just, no, not fully, because unless these people have their own security, just the presence that people, where they feel comfortable. And so, but we'll send those dates. I'm sure that it's made that the chiefs are coming, so I'm sure that.
Most time they have
Yeah.
the different night shield, different shields, that's who gets it.
We'll make sure y'all got it though, so y'all know what's going on. Thank
Welcome
you.
back, Donnie.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we're
I'm
glad
to
you're,
see you.
and actually, we have a full staff of police officers now. We're fully staffed again with certified officers, which is good. Everybody's certified, ready to go. Thank you. All right. Any other questions? Anybody? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'll put this over here. All right. Fire department. And codes.
I think I gave you a report there for your file, but we ran about 22 calls so far for July. It's got a list of the breakdowns there. We've used about 20,000 gallons of water. I've got 2 insurance recovery claims submitted for tractor trailer incidents on the interstate. Still working with Brimley to get here to repair the lighting for the engine 2 that was out, the emergency lighting. We began painting a few of the hydrants. John and Keith's got one of the part-time guys helping, so we're trying to do it 1 day a week, if we can, weather permitting. And then I told the other firemen, we need to try to step in and share the work weight and get some of them done before fall. We've been busy with several different events from Red Cross Day, church events. More stuff coming this weekend with Mountain Market. I think we've got another church event Friday night at Highland. Jeep invasion, we're sending a crew over there to see the people at the nursing home. And on top of all of it, our guys have been going to Swanee they've got a training house they've donated to them, so they've been doing training the last 2 weekends at Swanee. So, been pretty busy. On the codes enforcement side, there's 3 written complaints over the month that I've addressed, and resolution's been concluded. I've worked with TDEC on a North Bluff incident for resolution and recommendation from the state. They gave pretty good input on that. Several vinyl signs through town's been pulled, and they continue to go up. So that's just an ongoing thing. There's been 2 food truck permits that I've approved. I think one of them was Sweet Scoop Cruise here tonight to Meaches. There's 2 fire inspections I completed for the new business at the Extreme Rentals and Extreme Construction. Just walked through and met with them. So I think there's 2 or 3 more that I've got to pass down to me to look at for fireside inspections. So that's all I've got going.
You did provide us July the 11th with a letter on the mutual aid agreement with Swanee that had
Yes,
been
that's,
signed
yep.
for the ladder truck and the use of that when there was discussion with the BZA board for the 4-story hotel, that was agreed. So we do have that on file. We also do have a letter from our attorney that addressed all 4 points that said we were, of course, dealing with life safety issues first, which we had dealt with, which was right. The ordinance in which, I don't have that. Do you have yours with you, Nate? That there was a financial hardship was not part of this process, and it was not being dealt with that situation. Remember, Dee Dee had asked that. That was, and there was one other issue that had been brought up. Sam had answered all those, that we had done due diligence, we were doing everything both with the life safety issues, and we were in compliance, and we could move forward with that. And of course, having the mutual agreement. Does anyone have anything for
We got a
Travis?
meet and greet this weekend also at Mount Market.
We do. Yep, there'll be a truck and a crew here all for the whole event. They'll be here from 8 a.m. till whenever. A cooling tent and kids stuff and fire prevention safety stuff.
And you are doing some fundraisers, didn't you order hats, shirts?
Yep.
and If you
We've
want
got
to.
hats, shirts, tumblers, and
Yeah.
some swag and merch for the
Yeah.
fire department we're selling, so. Yep, there we go.
Will, do you want to come up here?
No, I just got a question for Travis. How do we get a follow-up on some code enforcement that hasn't been completed more than 60 days ago?
What I would recommend, so there's paper file for all of it. Come back to City Hall, write another complaint, address it on paper again. That way I've got the fresh file in my possession. And I'll chase it as much as I can.
Is there any reason why certain people wouldn't be held to, account for their violations and why they continually keep going? And
It's an ongoing thing, you know how it is.
Okay, well, I
try to
heard
chase
a
it.
follow-up on that, and, with
That's
no,
right.
you said everything was, resolved, and I can definitely tell you that it hasn't been resolved at a certain location, so.
I understand.
Okay.
There's been 3 situations, and we, of course, if anybody wants public records, they can ask for it. It's not whether it be you, me, or whomever, they have to ask for it to get a copy of it. But that Travis has went to those, Travis has, now Earl has a different situation there, and that stuff's being transferred. Earl is out with surgery this week. But Travis has went to that 2 locations, correct?
Mhm.
Or 3?
2.
The one on North Bluff, the one at Campbell Subdivision, and the one.
Oh, yeah,
over by
Campbell
Spring.
Subdivision,
He
that's
has 3 locations he's been to monthly. He will go, he will take care of it, he'll go back within the 10 days, it's been taken care of. Then he gets another complaint a week or so later that it's happening again. So then he goes back again, he takes photos, it's been taken care of, and he goes back again.
How about the original complaint that's never been addressed?
Well, if Travis has received it, did you give it to Travis?
It
has been
was done through the proper
Travis,
channels.
Yes.
you've addressed every one with you or Earl. since
The
you've been
original
this job.
complaint, I'm familiar with the fence, and I don't remember the whole
The
list that
fence,
was
all
in
the
there.
cars, the abandoned
That's right.
vehicles, what permit does this person have to do business in town? What is his business permit? And if he's a record service, he can't be there, and if he's a junkyard, he can't be there. They're all in violation of the codes, the current codes, so I just, he either has to move junk off the property, he take care, putting up a fence backwards, again, in violation of code, and just hiding the problems, isn't taking care of it. I mean, that's, you know, that's,
Well, I'll tell you this, I will contact the town attorney and we'll address whether he's a junkyard or a automotive repair shop or whatever, and I'll take the proper chance. I mean, that's all I can do to follow up for you.
I appreciate that.
But have you followed up, if you have followed up with this with Earl?
The fence, and I mean, I understand what the gentleman's saying because I do periodic drive-bys. The fence is up, you know, I guess it depends on what, I mean, I'm not laughing at your matter. Depends on what side you're standing on, whether it's forward or backward. I mean, you know what I mean, if that makes
Well,
sense.
yeah, but according to the code, you know, the finished side has to be towards
To what
the neighbors,
you're just
not
laying
towards his
out.
own property.
So if that's the case, you know, the fence is backwards. There's been silt fence and screening fence that's been put up. They've went around it, and I did watch the guy maintain the silt fence. I watched that 2 weeks ago. The gentleman went around it and tried to maintain it.
Well, let me ask you
So-
this, I'm gonna go back to the original. Have you addressed this complaint when it was put in with anyone in the
Yes.
You have. You will address it again, so you're not ignoring this.
No,
fence
definitely not.
complaint.
I
That's what I'm
definitely
trying to
Because
clarify.
it hasn't been resolved, that's my, I shouldn't have to put in another complaint. on a
Well,
complaint
that, I'm
hasn't
not
been
saying you
resolved.
need to, that's the reason
No.
I'm saying, has he been addressing it? He says he is.
Right, I'm
I'm
just
gonna
making
ask
sure
you to
because I
do
haven't
this
had an
tomorrow.
update in a while, so I'm
Let's
just trying to
pull-
figure out why it's not being, you know, the trees, the dead trees. He signed a contract to replace all those, you know, every 6 months. There's still, I don't know, maybe you like dead trees.
Well, no,
but
I don't know about it, I don't go through.
You haven't seen any of
the-
those dead trees?
Actually, I've been out of pocket over through there for about 2 months now.
Oh.
So, my husband had to come up and
Yeah, and I'm glad he's doing better.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, I have been, you know, I'm here, but I'm not always, that's the reason why people get paid to do that.
Yeah.
And I will.
Anyone who goes to the convenience center can see the dead trees.
Travis?
Yes, there's dead tree.
Can you pull his complaint and let's see what needs to be addressed and doesn't need to be addressed tomorrow? We will not ask you to do another one. If he has his complaint, he's addressed it. We'll see what has not, and can you, once you find out from both Earl and from legal, no, Earl won't be available till
Earl's
Thursday.
not, yeah, he's out with medical.
But,
Earl told me last meeting he's not involved in this at all. That's what he told me last meeting. He's
He told
not
you
involved
up
in this
here?
at all. Yeah, here, right here in this room. He told me he's not involved with this at all. He
Okay.
doesn't do any code enforcement.
okay, well, all right, because he didn't, I don't know what he told Travis. He didn't tell us that, okay? I don't know where he told you that, maybe back there. But the point being, pull his complaint, let's see what we need to do and who needs to address it, what's in compliance and what's not. I mean, I'm not aware, council, did y'all go pull the complaints and see where they're at? So if he doesn't, if somebody doesn't tell us it's not being addressed, I haven't talked to you, Will. And Travis has told me, he's got a file in there that we look at about once a week, that they're being addressed. So nobody's not ignoring your complaint.
All right.
Can you pull that?
I'll
And
do
let's
it
see where we're
tomorrow,
at?
I'll take care of it. And
Is
I'll
that
follow
the
up with
only-
you, I'll call
Yeah,
him and
yeah.
touch
Can you
base
call
with
him,
you.
you know?
But I do know there's
Let me know
three
what's going on.
Yeah,
three
definitely.
different houses. He's went back, one was with chickens, one was with trash, and there was
That
another
one was
one.
Big T-Day, that was the North Bluff.
And so, and those have all been addressed multiple times because he would go in place, they would put up, he would go back, they said they were out again. So, you know, he's chasing some of these problems, you know, but he's doing his job. And I mean, he's doing it both as fire chief and both as coach. And I know a couple of people came in and they actually basically, that's the reason we have a process for people to do a complaint. And you just brought it up to us, you don't feel like it's done, we will address it. But instead of them just coming and demanding that Travis go somewhere, that they do that because he's also the fire chief and he's also working on that. So he has two hats he's wearing. And he's doing a good job at what he does. So, and he also documents it in case we do go to court. That we make sure we do, and he also takes photos.
But I will, on that side of it, I'll talk to Earl and see where I mean, I don't know what the left hand's telling the right hand, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I mean, you guys cited, you know, the International Building Code,
That's right.
155, which again, you know, even when you cite that, you don't even finish, you know, in there's directions on how to do it. And it wasn't done that way, so, and again, maybe it's Earl, you know, maybe not, but,
Yeah.
you know.
I'll follow up.
Yeah, I appreciate the follow, that's what really I'm looking for is follow-up.
He will
Okay.
follow up, you don't
I'll
have
call
to do
him
another
and
complaint,
discuss it.
and he'll document it, and we'll go from there. Because I'm not sure everything they're talking about here, but
I'm
Travis
aware
will
of
take
things
care of it.
about, I'm aware of it.
Exactly. And I did not know, Earl had told you that he's not doing anything with codes anymore, so.
Thank you.
uh,
Yes, ma'am.
Are we under a burn ban?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
call somebody for burning sticks or?
We fall under, Monteagle used to have their own ordinance back, I don't know if that's your last.
No, it was,
But anyway, they changed it, went back to state guidelines.
Before
State
it got
guide-
out tomorrow?
Yep, yep. So state guidelines is October the 15th through May the 15th, any open air burning. So warming fire, cooking fire, that's all, it's permittable fire now.
and you have to get a permit from the state, it's
Yep.
a permit number, the rest of the time Monteagle doesn't issue them anymore.
Yeah,
have
or you can go to
get the state to get those.
burnsafety.org, that's online where you can get your permit.
But you don't need a permit from the
No.
state right now.
No,
just-
you're open, it's, legal burning's permitted right now.
But what is the address that you?
Burnsafetn.org,
It's a Tennessee website,
yep, that's online permits.
and I think they have issued them during droughts too, that you can.
Yep, and they have special precautions.
And they'll be
Yep, yep.
a mandate for those. Okay, is there anything else for Travis?
You did a good job.
We do,
Thank
thank you.
Thank you,
We do appreciate it,
thank you.
thank you. Streets?
I'm just still waiting on the Marion County Road Commissioner to give us some prices on what he measured.
We're talking about Laurel Lake, because it's the
Yeah.
one you identified as the worst in the
Right.
section.
And that's, I mean, till they get back with some measurements, I mean, I don't have anything to do.
Okay, there is something that we want to discuss tonight. Can you explain the piece of equipment that Marion County is planning on giving us? So,
Yeah, the boom mower, they bought them two new ones we talked about, I think, last meeting. And, they'll have their meeting tonight. And, they're gonna donate it to us if everybody agrees, which we will just have to get somebody like, Tri-Green, the closest dealer, and come and check it out and see what's wrong. And if it has to go somewhere to be fixed, you know, we just have to figure out how much we're gonna spend, you know, we're not gonna spend a whole lot on it, but they're giving it to us, so we got, you know, we're crazy if we don't take it.
and what is the piece of equipment y'all told me today that this
Well,
cost? And you
since
would,
we hadn't got a mower yet, you know, and we've got ours probably where we make it the rest of the season, we talked about buying that blower last year. Why not take some of this money that we're gonna buy the mower and buy that, and then next spring, we're gonna buy the mower. Maybe putting 5,000, we take those mowers, 5 to 7,000, something like that.
we're talking about leaf blower here, and
Yeah.
what he wanted to do, which Debbie said he can, we got 10,000 that's going, we'll have to amend it once it's done.
We've changed budget years, so that 10,000 went away with the last budget year. We're in a different budget year now.
No, she said we
But
carried it over.
we never did spend the money on the mower is what we're saying.
It's still
So
there.
that's, why can't we use half of that and do this blower, cause we think our mower will make it the rest of the season. And then next budget, we'll, budget the rest of it for the mower.
So, yeah, it's sitting in unaccounted for cash, so it
Right.
just needs to move
For
out of the accounted for
equipment,
cash
it
in the
will-
budget line.
She said it's under equipment and maintenance, the dollar amount is. So, but we did say we buy a mower, so we will have to do an amendment. But they can actually get the price for a blower. And we could actually make that verbal change, but the money's there. The other thing that Butler mentioned today
Yeah.
is there's money in there for equipment and that not
retire it.
to repair
Yeah.
this.
You have a line item, every year.
Yeah. What is that mower called that you're getting from Marion
It's
County?
a boom mower, it's
A
a
boom.
tractor with a boom mower, you cut the sides of the road, the limbs hanging down, hitting grand antennas and
This
stuff
piece of
like this.
equipment could cost up to $100,000 if you have to buy
Yeah,
it.
more than that probably.
So, what Keith was asking today, he'll have to get quotes on it, but not to exceed $10,000, that he can go ahead and get the quotes if he can get it repaired, because there is something wrong with the motor.
No,
in-
transmission, it won't pull, everything runs good, engine's good, the cutter and stuff's good, it just won't pull. Whether it be a sensor, you know, it may be a $500 fix, you know. But we're crazy not to take it, they're giving it to us, and they're even gonna bring it to us.
And he wants to get the quotes to get it fixed, but not to exceed this amount.
You don't need us to get the quote.
Well,
No, we just.
Yeah.
we
no,
just
but he
talk.
wanted to tell you that, because we don't wanna hold it up, he wants to go and get those quotes so we can approve it at our next meeting. So
We'll
we can get
call
it fixed.
Tri-Grain, and they'll send a service truck, and they'll tell you what's wrong, and, you know, we can go from we're not for sure we'll get it, we'll know after their meeting tonight.
But he can go ahead and do that without any action on our part.
Right.
No, but that's what we're saying, we're informing him, he will go ahead, if he gets the equipment, then he will get quotes on it, then that would have to be approved at our next meeting, so that he can go ahead and get it fixed. And he said it could be anywhere from 500 to maybe 10,000, but it's $100,000 piece of equipment that's being
It's still
donated to
cheaper.
us. Yeah, it's still, and we need it. And
Something we've been wanting for several years.
I think there's like 20,000 in the repairs and maintenance budget
Yeah.
for the streets department, so,
Yeah.
you know, we just look for you to tell us
Right.
whether you think it's worth it.
He calls me tomorrow and says, you know, I'm bringing it up, we'll call him, get him to come look at it and give us an idea.
so we're just letting you know what's going on. So you said you wanted to know if these things are happening, which is good for the town. But if you send quotes out for, you know, a repair for this boom mower, that will be the reason why, is because he's just gonna be getting quotes. It's not saying, you know, this is,
What's the status on the other mower? What's the status on the mower?
We've done some work on it.
Now,
Oh,
the
the
one
new
you
one,
ordered,
who
it's not
knows?
coming.
Will you go ahead and order it this year for next
We
year?
ordered one and, they sold it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, then they.
Can you order one for next year?
I give up.
Every time I
When
call
what comes
down,
off the
it's
ship,
gonna be here
right?
next week.
Yeah. It's kinda like the checks in the mail, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now it's in there on the desk, they just don't have a mower to get, you know.
So do y'all have anything else for Keith?
No.
No?
No, I just wanna make sure we're clear that Keith's gonna find somebody to figure out what's wrong with it and give him an estimate on the repair, and then he can bring that estimate back to us. He can't get quotes to repair something of unknown.
No, but what I'm saying, he's gotta
Provided
get
we even get it.
the
Yeah.
estimate.
Yeah, it's still,
Yeah.
yeah, we won't know till they have their meeting.
Well, that, Mr. Og said he's about 99% sure that they're gonna donate to us, and he's also gonna bring it up here. The thing is, though, instead of waiting till next month to get quotes, if it's, you know, when after trial green comes up here, he can go ahead and get those, he can have them submitted to us, so we can approve it for the equipment at the next meeting, is what we're saying. So,
What, I can't remember all this, what is the percentage you can spend without getting bids?
1,500, I think, is what you said today, wasn't it?
So
But
the
this
guy-
is a
But this-
repair, this is a repair, so
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't need bids.
Yeah.
It's a repair, we just have to decide.
Debbie
whether-
said
Well, I'm
today
talking
it
about
did.
on quotes,
No.
if he comes up and says, he checks it out and says it's certain sensor, it's $600, can't we go ahead and pay?
That you
it?
can, you know,
Absolutely.
it's just if it's over $5,000.
Yeah, okay.
That's what what Debbie told him today, if it's over $5,000, you have to get quotes regardless of you've got it in your budget, unless it's something proprietary, and this wouldn't be, you know. Because we talked about this with Debbie today before she left. So,
Okay, so we can talk about it next.
just letting you know, if you see a quote out for us, something make, it's not that he's getting it, he's just getting it ready for next meeting. That's what we're doing, informing you. So if you don't have anything else, guys, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Earl is not here, so we do have 3 building, permits, or business permits tonight. First one is Monteagle. I saw Randy back there. Randy, you've had a temporary permit, so you're in the same location. You just got it from Tanya where she was there, and all we needed was somebody present so that the council could review it and approve it. Does anybody need to look at Randy's? Monteagle is a hair, and is it nail salon too now? Hair and nail, that's what it was before, at 20 West, or Main Street in Monteagle, Tennessee. And Mr. Butler is now the owner. So do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Debbie will get you this. She's not here tonight, but she'll get it for you this week, so we get it. So you're done, sir. Thank you for being here tonight. Okay. Next, Sweet Scoops, and y'all want to come up, whoever Sweet Scoops is. This is a food truck. Travis had mentioned tonight that he had already done the applications and the permits were completed. I don't know if Travis left or not. And
He did.
you are, sir,
Nicholas.
Nicholas Gleason. And you just want to tell them a little bit what Sweet Scoops is, and then we'll go from there. It's a food truck.
You've got a copy of it?
We good.
Y'all got it? Okay.
We're an ice cream trailer. We sell hand-scooped ice cream, sundaes, and milkshakes. we travel around the region, so we plan on being in Monteagle at least once a week. You want any other information?
How will we know you're here?
We keep our information on our Instagram and Facebook, and
And they will be here Thursday night for the food
Yeah.
truck night.
yeah. So, if
If
you,
you, Horton Park.
if you wanna know when we're gonna be here, you can look at our Facebook and Instagram.
Do you have a certain location when you're here those times, or?
We set up Sunday at, I think it's the main attraction. Yeah, that's where we set up last time. But we will be in different locations. We signed with CVS in town.
Okay.
CVS, every once in a while, probably Wednesdays on CVS.
Yeah.
They're hoping to be here on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, hopefully. Okay.
So you have his, vendor's permit, since it's a mobile business, he has passed all the health inspections and Travis has inspected him. We have a motion to approve, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Thank you.
We look forward.
Yeah, Thursday night.
Thursday night.
Okay, now we have extreme rental and extreme, install. Would you please come up, sir? You're next. You can tell folks a little bit about your business.
I'm Michael Whitehammer. I'm the owner of Extreme Installs and the newly Extreme Rentals. We are a home builder out of Murfreesboro. And I have 4 children. They all work for me in different, actually each one of them has their own companies and work underneath the Extreme umbrella. Everything we're doing is in Monteagle, Tracy City. And a lot of the folks that we build for are also Airbnb renters that rent in different subdivisions. And they've said, okay, after we've went to the caverns and walked around, what else is there to do? I wish we had some bikes. So I bought a fleet of e-bikes and a fleet of kayaks. And we're, I think the canoes are going to be arriving this week, and we're getting like an outside movie projector that people can rent to entertain kids, and have different game packages. My daughter is running all that, Brianna, you've met Brianna, so that there's something for them to do to get them to come back here. I've heard a lot of folks that have to come up and rent said, okay, we saw everything in one weekend, now what? So we're trying to figure out how to get them back up here. And so my daughter is developing a map of the bike trail, which we want to get involved with heavily to help get it built.
Yeah, Barry called me, so we should go out and have lunch sometime.
Awesome. And my wife and I, we're building our forever home up, getting ready to build it up here. I can get a water tap.
Well, if you're inside the city, you got it. We'll get you water tap.
Maybe.
We promise we'll get you one, it's just gonna.
But all my children live up here. My son is the first house in Sunset Bluff, the only house in Sunset Bluff. He built it himself. He's the builder. My other son lives in Water's Edge. My daughter lives in right outside town here. And we're building in timber wood. We built, I don't even know how many homes in Water's Edge and all that. She's mapping out a trail from here to Swanee right now, and we have actually had people, guests that come into town and we've mapped it out where they've ate it. We've given them, this is your destination, Polly's Restaurant or Blue Chair. My daughter takes care of all that. But so that they have something to do that takes up a half a day. And the biggest one so far, we've been just letting people take the bites because we want people to give us feedback, tell us, okay, I liked it, I didn't like it. But the most popular one right now is the ride into Swanee to eat that breakfast at the Blue Chair. It's crazy how many people want to do that. We actually had to buy 10 more bikes. One of them sitting out front. I rode it here today. If anybody ever wants to come and try them out, we'd love to have you. And then the other side of our business is construction. My son is coating paints. He's painting like everything in all the tiny home communities and other cliff tops and all kinds of things. My other son is White and Hammer Construction. He works under me, and he takes care of the day-to-day construction operations. And his wife, like I said, built a house in Sunset Bluff, and they want to stay here forever too. So we're going to sell out in Murfreesboro and move here, and hopefully be a big part of this town.
We appreciate it. This is at Catherine Street, 25 Catherine Street. Now, this has been looked at, they have been inspected and approved. And if you'll look, let's do them separately. You've got Extreme Installs that has the paint and the construction, which would be one. And so, 7/11/22, when actually Earl had signed it, so Earl has looked at this before that he had signed it. So we're gonna do them separately because you've got one building that is divided into two businesses, if that's okay. We're gonna do the construction first. So,
Make a motion to approve Extreme Rentals LLC building permit, or business permit.
and under that will be the subsidiaries of the painting and also the construction work, which is on one side of it. Just to know that since you said Cody's painting is in there, and then construction as well.
We don't have to do them separate, we do them together,
No, see, this one has the two subsidiaries under the services.
but we're doing the LLC now.
Right, yes,
Okay.
the installs first.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Then, the second business would be the Extreme Rentals, which is kayaks. You said e-bikes, is that correct? We're gonna have to drive this after you talk to me about how much, so, anyway. So, and the e-bike.
And regular bikes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for, so,
motion for it.
Second.
any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Welcome, they will get you permits for your businesses when Deb's back. She's not here tonight, okay?
Very good.
And thank you, we look forward to it.
Thank you.
Now, police, fire, park, rec, utility streets, roads. Planning commission, Ed, you're going to report for Janet tonight, right?
I'm going to address two things, right?
Okay. Come on up.
Are you ready?
Yes, we're ready for you, sir. You're also going to be reporting tonight for the committee that you've been working on. Thank you, you've been chairing for like over a year now with municipal codes and zoning codes, correct? But we're
Correct.
trying to clean those up and work on those things, so go right ahead, sir, whichever one you want to go first.
Okay, I'll try to keep it short, because it's very boring. First, I want to thank the committee members that worked on this. Your own Councilman Nate was with us, Tyree Burnett was with us, Michelle Wright, and Richard Black, and myself. It was not a fun read, as you can tell. The documents that you have in front of you represent just a few of the issues that we discussed, and it's limited for discussion purposes tonight. On the back of that document, I have attached Janet Miller-Smith's report from the Planning Commission for your use. I won't comment on that. If you have any questions, stop me and ask, and I'm going to kind of move through this quickly. Okay? Our intent was to review the building codes and zoning ordinances that the town of Monteagle had and was adopting. They consisted of our municipal codes, our Monteagle zoning ordinance, and the variances that the council has put out since 2016. Comments on what we saw. Briefly, our zoning map is in need of a thorough review and update. We recommend that a qualified outside consultant be retained to do this. A detailed zoning map should be available on the city website for people to use. I've actually had calls about that, and I could not find it, so.
It's there, we just need to put a link up. So Southeast Development hosts it and keeps it updated as a GIS file, and so we just need to put a link up to it. It did take a while to find, but it is there, and I'll try to remember to send a link to y'all so you can, all we have to do is link to their website.
Right, and Nate, as you know, as we were reviewing this last year, the council was acting on things that we were discussing at the same time, and it was surprising to me that we spot on many things that you were addressing. Some of these things on the list you haven't seen yet are probably just waiting around the corner, okay? Spot zoning. Spot zoning should be avoided wherever possible. I myself am not personally totally against it, but when we reviewed since 2016, Monteagle Council, approximately half of the zoning ordinances that they approved would be considered spot zoning. All right? Spot zoning is, by the state regs, is considered illegal. But the determination of spot zoning is, does it have, if you're helping someone out, are you having a detriment to anybody else? If you're not having a detriment to anybody else, I don't see anything wrong with it. Personal opinion, but I just don't see anything wrong with it, all right?
Yeah, we've had a lot of questions over that.
Right.
Well, let me clarify.
The key to spot zoning is that you get notices out to people so nobody gets left behind, because then you know you did not affect anybody. I'm sorry.
Two things, you said, 2016, so you're saying from 2016 to 2021 is when we actually started, because I think y'all came on board about January, was that right, Nate? In 21?
Spring of 21.
Yeah, somewhere around there, that we formed this committee, and, yeah, because it wasn't until November, so we didn't do it in December, so it was earlier when y'all started, so that's the clarification, you're talking about that timeframe.
Right, you're
The
correct.
other, I think, Anya has, and you're on the planning commission too, and so
Yes.
is that's where she uses the term special exception, then it has to go, is that you're not spot zoning, but there's on a case-by-case basis with that, so, because you did say in the state of Tennessee it is.
Anya thinks that spot zoning is illegal by state statute.
Yeah.
I think that would be hard to determine what is spot zoning, since the council doesn't rule there, but that's just her opinion. In the state, goes from Memphis to Murfreesboro to Monteagle, it's one size fits all. So I feel like their statutes and determinations need to be read through the lens that fits Monteagle, all right? You know, without enforcement, and I'm glad to hear that we do have our fire chief doing enforcement now, there'll be little effort made by the community to adopt these codes or ordinances, and enforcement is a necessary part of this, okay? One of the things we've talked about at the Planning Commission is site plans. The state requires us to provide a detailed site plan for anybody that comes in front of the Planning Commission. That site plan now runs between $5,000 and $10,000. We think that there should be an alternative, that someone could come up and make a presentation before they go to that expense and see if they get the blessings of the Planning Commission, if they choose to move on, and not have to face that expense not knowing what's going to happen, all right? The site plan itself should be different for new construction, should be different for additions and renovations. Nobody needs to do a $10,000 plan if they just do an interior renovation, okay? And we move on, consider this boring. One of the things that jumped out of us, in front of us, was alcohol. The requirements for selling alcohol in this community are weird. We need to definitely determine distance from other structures, proof of alcohol. Nate brought this up. We don't have any of the ordinances that address the new distilleries.
We've since done it.
You have addressed that? Good, because like I said, we've been moving at the same pace along with these, all right? licensing for sale, collection of fees, and when is last call on Monteagle? Have y'all addressed that?
Yes.
Good.
So it was confusing, but I asked, and the latest revision is the one that is the current code. I don't remember honestly what that was, but the one that we saw earlier that made it so confusing. We could go back and repeal that for clarity, but according to Sam, the law is pretty
And from spring of '21 until spring of this year, these are issues that cropped up as you were addressing possession of farm animals. The prevention of them being a nuisance needs a clear address. Fireworks not addressed. We can shoot fireworks where we want. Out here in the parking lot, a lot of people would choose. I think we need restrictions on that. Peddlers and solicitations got a hard with because it didn't make much sense to us. The town of Monteagle should close in permits. The state supposedly closes in permits at 12 months. If you have not made a strong effort to start construction within 12 months, your process needs to go under review again. Our truck stop down there would fall in that category. They've not done a lick of work in 12 months, okay? Weeds, rubbish, junkyards, fencing, slum clearance are not clearly defined to have no guidance or enforcements. Many license and operating fees are being missed. This is money to be used toward enforcements. How are animal control, noise control, rubbish, trash, and abandoned vehicles, other community issues being enforced and fines collected? I understand from tonight that you all are addressing that. It's good. So we're moving along. Recommendations. I think this is critical. We need a simple and clearly understood process for addressing these zoning issues. What happens is that we come up in discussion in the council, and the planning commission, and the BCA too, and they get kicked the can down the road. I think we need to have an action item list where when these things come up, they get put on a list to be addressed, either by a councilman or an appointee like myself, to come up with solutions to be presented to you so that we can address these things over time. If they do not get addressed, they should kick back on the agenda the next month. We simply talk about them, set them aside, and they still exist, and they will continue to exist. Over the last several months, the Planning Commission has seen several large developments presented to us. In May, we saw close to 200 possible permits. These developments consist of tiny homes. A large percentage of these homes will surely be rentals and fortunately generate income for our community through our hotel and occupancy tax. However, our current code allows for tiny homes of 400 square feet. That is 1 20 by 20 room. We recommend.
No, I think it's 6 to 800 is what Earl said. 6 is the smallest. So we've addressed that quite.
You have, because we.
Because Earl had said it was 600 is the, yeah. I think we need to check that.
It was 400 at the last planning commission, so if you are addressing it, that is good.
No, it's 6.
You're both
600.
correct.
Yes.
The R4 allows for the square footage that you're talking about.
Right.
We just don't have any on the map, so that's.
Yeah, we have no more.
There is no more.
So it's, right, but it is in the books that way.
So we need.
And we could be asked to change something to R4, even though we don't have it, because we have it in the books. These small structures are going to add a burden to every aspect of service that we provide. I think Tracy City would provide some information on this to you. Our fire, police, emergency medical services, our garbage, our traffic, and that's just a few, will be impacted by this. It is my recommendation and agreed by the Planning Commission and most of the members of our committee that we increase that to a standard of 800 square feet. We think that such an increase would provide a stronger tax base, improve the quality of our community, and attract a little bit higher level of investment. All right? These tiny homes don't need to be looked at as affordable housing. That is a totally different issue for our community. All right? The elephant in the room, we've been talking about it tonight, comes up at every meeting. We've got hundreds of structures in a possible pipeline for permitting in our community. How do we approve these structures if we do not know that we have the quality water available and the impact to the sewer covered? We're asked to approve these and we don't know this. We've got good information tonight from our city engineer that you're getting close to having that, and that is going to be critical how we move ahead. It's our responsibility to provide these services in this community. Yet we don't know if the infrastructure exists to meet those demands. The committee is aware that we're in the process of reviewing this, and hopefully we'll have that answer. It sounds like it's going to start coming together in the middle of August, which is good. My experience as an engineer and a contractor and developer tells me that you must get ahead of the curve on water and wastewater. If you don't stay ahead, you will never catch up, and you will create problems in the future that will continue to need to be addressed at every meeting. For that reason, we suggest that the council immediately consider tap and impact fees on this new growth. I don't know if you've talked about this yet or not. I'm not current to that, but I think this is fundamental. This growth is no longer just coming to our community, it's here, and it's here now. Our committee strongly urges the council to act quickly and get this elephant out of it. Thank you. If you have questions, I'll try to answer.
Well, let me clarify when you said, let me tell you what we're doing also with tap fees and impact fees. Tennessee, John, TAUD, Tennessee Utilities are doing a study right now on taps, all the water and sewer, enterprise funds, water and sewer. It's been 12 years since there's been a rate increase. We're taking that slow, but we're looking, that's been going on like 2-3 months now. They're the ones that have to do that. It goes through the comptroller's office on any fees we charge for anything, so that's being done too. The impact fee, Travis is also working on that, the new development. It's part of this assessment, just putting the GIS system. What Nate is giving him with the roads is a portion of it. He and Southeastern Development are of course working on that. All this stuff's been coming together just like you guys, and we greatly appreciate it. And we want to continue this. If we stay, we want to continue this process.
Correct.
We need to look at this to take care of these problems. But as you said, you went back to a system we're trying to fix, we're trying to build, we're trying to grow, but we're also doing it smart.
That's what we're trying to contribute to, the
And
same
that's what,
thing.
a lot of the things are paralleling here. So we do need, there's one thing you did mention, we don't have a tax base here as far as property tax.
Right.
That, there's several homestead exemptions, those are being studied too, as we currently speak.
Right.
You know, because Monteagle is growing to that point. Nothing's gonna be done quickly, but with committees like yours, with councils and what we're trying to do, and where we've been and where we're going, then we can accomplish this.
Well, I know we're limited on how we can fund water and sewer development, and that's why tap and impact fees have been so popular and other areas. But it does give you cash flow to stay ahead of the curve and get your system in place.
But we've gotta make sure what we're doing, we just don't put a number out there, we're doing it
Right.
consistent with a comptroller, which we've gotta do it smart. And then once we do, that they're on the cycle, just like Monteagle 2035 that we're working on, which you're familiar with. And we've gotta discuss land usage, you know, folks tonight, but we have to make sure we do it smart. And as we do, we continue going forward instead of going backward where we were for a small frame. You
Well, I
know.
hope our efforts have helped, and if we can be of further help, please let us know.
Well, please continue with your committee and what you're doing, because we want to keep going forward, but we will see about addressing these with planning and also the council. We probably need to have a work session, probably what we need to do, bring our planner in. What do
Any
you
other
say?
questions?
Well, I think we should talk about this RFP, because this RFP addresses all these issues with the strategic plan.
Were you talking about the RFP for the corridor plan? Are you talking about the RFP that we discussed today with the multimodal thing?
No, I'm talking about the one that I sent y'all that's looking at a strategic plan for the town of Monteagle, looking at
Okay.
land use and zoning.
Okay. That will have to be reviewed by the attorney. I did find
Right.
that out, and I will send it to Sam as soon as the council says to move forward with it, because we cannot write a legal document before it goes out. We did find that out.
No, we were just gonna discuss tonight and get on the same page about what we wanted in this RFP. That's what you had said on Monday when you asked me to write the RFP.
Yeah, and that's what I'm
We
saying.
discussed it tonight.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Planning Commission, yes, thank you, Ed.
You're very welcome.
We look forward to continuing to work with you and the committee.
Okay.
You also have the Planning Commission that's back here if you want to look at those pieces of it before we go to. You want to do the RFP with council, or do you want to do it now? I don't care, however you want to do it, Nate.
We can do it either way. Basically, what several of us have said, so we did a strategic planning workshop, almost a year ago in Southeast Development, and Southeast Development came in and asked us as a mayor and council what we felt like were important issues, and I think this board was in pretty good agreement that land use planning and strategic planning for the town were of critical importance. We know through the School of Hard Knocks that particularly when it comes to zoning, zoning should always be informed by a strategic plan, and if you have a strategic plan that is in place, you're bound by that plan, and it can help you make good decisions if the strategic plan is good. So the mayor has been talking about a corridor plan. Several of us have talked about that, and we've talked about broadening that. And so at the workshop on Monday, I was wanting to finally move forward, and the mayor asked me to put together an RFP, which is a request for proposals, seeking a consultant to help with a strategic plan for Monteagle. And what that strategic plan would do was it would take the information that Travis is putting together about water and sewer. It would talk to Travis Lawyer, our fire department, look at capacity and needs there. It would look at the police, capacity and needs. It would also have a public input session where we talk about, the community can come in and talk about where they see the town going and where they'd like to see the town going.
We've already got that, because that's what Janet submitted with that Southeastern Development had worked on.
So in that RFP,
Yeah.
I said that we have some information. There may be an opportunity for some more information. So I would like to request proposals to put this together. I don't know, we have $10,000 that we have budgeted right now. I don't know exactly what this would cost, and it's going to depend on how much detail we want. So I asked them in this RFP right now, it asked for them to gather some demographic data and do some population trends for us to help us understand sort of where the town might be going. We should talk about that as a group, probably in a workshop, to figure out whether those are the types of things we want to do. But I think it's critically important that this person come together, look at the desires of the town based on citizen input, based on our input, look at our capacities based on water and sewer, and then looks at our zoning map and says, okay, well, if this is what you want Monteagle to be, then the zoning map is a primary lever to help that happen. And what that does is it can inform us. So Ed was rightly concerned about spot zoning. Well, an outside professional can come help us be able to put on a different lens in looking at that map and say, well, this has been a commercial property, but it may be more appropriate to move it to a mixed use or to move it to a residential. And we might be able to make some of those decisions that are a little bit, I'm not going to say drastic, but they're changes that we've been hesitant to make because of concerns of spot zoning, because of concerns that there's going to be a lawsuit here or a lawsuit there. But I think if we have somebody who's helping us and we have lots of time for citizen input, I think we can have a good plan going forward. And once we have that plan, we can adopt that plan, and then it makes these zoning decisions easier.
Well, that was the error we had with this one down here, and that's what we've been working on since we came back. We wanted to go 2020, because we did not make it official, then it was a ban. That was a lot of town hall meetings and land use. The only thing, the map was consistent with it, and as Ed says in 2016, things changed, but it is what it is. So we started that process again. We're in agreement. We need to have a workshop to send out an RFP to hire that person, but we're limited with a budget of $10,000. Now, can we get some grant money for planning? Beth Jones will still be working with us, even though she's retired, because she's going to we're gonna, Chuck Hammond is gonna be working with us, we spoke with him. There may be some planning dollars to do that, but I agree, but I think what we need to do is schedule a time, just have a workshop to do one item, the RFP for the land use and for Monteagle 2035.
So I made this RFP that I put together. I was working with Chad and Anya, and I've got a couple more rounds to go with them, but I would appreciate you all's input if you all read it and let me know what you think of it.
I did
'cause I-
read it, but we were talking about the other ones today, so I wasn't sure which one, you know, because we have the one with the multi-model, so,
Well, we haven't done that proposal yet.
no, I've got it here. So are you?
So I think that helps, the proposal that I put together helps address a lot of these concerns. I think it helps us moving forward to avoid getting into situations that we've been in the past. I, for one, would rather us put together a proposal that figures out what we want. And once we figure out what we want, we put it out and we see what it costs. And rather than being constrained from the get-go by the money that we currently have budgeted, because that was an arbitrary number we put out there not knowing what we want. So I'd rather us figure out what we want, put out, see if we can get some proposals, get an idea of what that's gonna cost, and then decide, do we need to find some grants, do we need to find some more money locally?
Well, yeah, I agree with you, but it's like you say, we can't make money, that's what we budgeted for it, so we're not printing it. But let's find out what we want, let's find out what it's gonna cost. You know, whether we're getting the Cadillac or, you know, where we're going with it. But we need to go ahead and schedule a workshop. Now, I've read 3 years, today I did. And then, of course, I've talked to Salmon and talked to Onion and everyone myself. But do y'all know a date that you want to do a workshop? Because we could go ahead and schedule that just to deal with the RFP for Monteagle 2035, what we're going to create this RFP for.
I would like to do it ASAP because this has been a year in the making.
Everything's been almost a year, but it takes
Exactly.
time to do it, so.
Let's get it going.
What does, the 3rd of August look like? You know, you don't wanna get it going, we're talking, you know, okay, well, tell them that you don't want to do Jerry.
Well,
Just tell them which words you can tell them that gets out of it, I'm
I-
not going, so.
I think having Chad in particular to help us would be good, so maybe instead of scheduling it today, we can go ahead and check with Chad, see if we can find some dates. We have to, it'll be a
You're talking
A
Chad
workshop.
Briggs? Who are you talking, Chad?
Chad Summers.
Yeah, Chad Briggs, yeah, that's what I said, that's which Chad were we talking about? We've got a lot of Chads too. Okay, just making sure.
So why don't we check with him? We'll have to announce it anyway and advertise it, so we can give dates later and people who are interested can show up.
So we know it's gonna be 14 days.
We can say we should do it before the next meeting, so.
Oh, yeah,
How about
so I tell you what, we'll send out a notice to Chad tomorrow. Once we get it, it'll be announced. And we'll work it with everybody's schedule once we get his. But it'll be sometime in August before the 29th. But if he can do that, that work? And you do have, you sent it to everyone, didn't you? The RFP, that's why, I did review it today, but then we had the other meeting on other RFP, so.
And I did just on other, there was a note here about the lighting in the business district. So Anya and I have gone back and forth on that a couple of different times. We've settled on trying to put together an ordinance that deals with the commercial zoning district and new construction only. And we're adopting, the way it's coming together right now, we're taking some of the highlights of that model ordinance, but we're really shortening it and making sure that we don't need to have a lighting engineer involved in every site plan. So a lot of it's about making it simple and helping it be easy to enforce. So we've still probably got another 4 or 5 different rounds back and forth between she and I before we have something that her boss can review and we can begin to work through it that way.
Good job.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Jessica? All right, good. And so we'll schedule that as soon as we can find a date from Chad. Okay, thanks, Denny. We appreciate it. Okay, next we're going to go to the second reading of ordinance 10-22, campgrounds in R3. That's what we have the public hearing for. It's an ordinance to amend section 501 of the zoning ordinance for the town of Monteagle, Tennessee, including campgrounds as a use granted upon a special exception in R3 per section 1107. We did the first reading on June the 27th, 2022.
I make a motion, we approve the second reading of ordinance 10-22, campgrounds in R3 upon special use, special request, whatever that.
Special exception. Okay.
Whatever the wording is,
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Date of public hearing for that?
We had it earlier today.
Or was it earlier today? Okay.
It was announced, we had it before this meeting.
All right.
Okay, and we have a data sheet where people signed in for it.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome. Business permits, we've already done. TDOT policy and resolution. You'll see in your packet, this is for the multimodal grant for, Nate, help me out with this one because this was for, it was going to be for the Mountain Goat Trail, but that's been pushed down to Sonic, is that correct?
So this is a procurement policy that we will need to pass a resolution on. And the way that resolution is written, I don't think it's actually going to work, so I think we're going to have to make something up here.
No, actually, this is one of the state of Tennessee that Katie said we had to approve.
Yes, but you've got a resolution here that says we're going to approve Form 1-2, and Form 1-2 is a fill-in-the-blank form where we should have all our town of Monteagle things in it. So that's what we were looking at today when she said we needed to pass it by resolution. We need to pass the TDOT consulting engineers selection criteria process, which is Form 1-2. But I think we can work our way through it. I will make a motion here in just a second. Hang on, I brought the form up.
I've got the form here too. They should have the form in the packet.
Not the full form is not in the packet.
The policy and the form. Yeah, it is. She put it in here. The policy and the form's in your packet for the funding for parks or for the federal highway.
So our resolution, and we can do discussion on it if we want, but I think our resolution should be to adopt the consultant selection policy for projects funded in whole or in part with funds provided by the Federal Highway Administration into the town of Monteagle record. If we just do Form 1-2, that's going to be a fill-in-the-blank form. So I would make a motion that we approve this consultant selection policy as written for the town of Monteagle.
Okay, that's one, and then we'll have to amend this resolution, which we can note this, that it will be resolution guidelines. Well, the resolution to adopt of the local government for the consultant selection policy for project funding for the whole or part of funding provided by the Federal Highway Administration of Tennessee Department of Transportation. So we can add that to this, and she can make that.
That's a lot of words, isn't it?
Well, it's not acronyms, but the resolution, and Nate's right, whenever, and of course Debbie did this before she left. If it just has the title, the resolution we will adopt tonight will be for the town of Monteagle for
Consultant selection policy.
policy. And Form 2. But we need to do the TDOT policy first, and then we need to do the resolution amended with that title on. So we have two things to do. So you made a motion for the policy, right?
I'm going to go ahead and edit this to make sure we get this right. Desires to adopt a consultant selection policy. Consistent with TDOT guidelines. Whereas a copy of
still on Monteagle.
Is attached, hang on, I'm almost, I'm done
You
now.
don't know slow down.
No, I never was any good at persevere. Okay, so resolution 3-22, a resolution to adopt consultant selection policies. Whereas the town of Monteagle desires to adopt a consultant selection policy consistent with TDOT guidelines, and whereas a copy of Monteagle's consultant selection policy consistent with TDOT guidelines is attached to this resolution, be it further resolved that the town of Monteagle adopts this consultant selection policy. Duly passed and adopted July 22nd, 2022. How does that sound?
You've got all that to make those changes?
Yes.
Okay.
I've got it written here, I'll just give you
Debbie,
this one.
yeah, Debbie will need that copy, yes.
Okay.
So, do we have a motion, and this is a resolution, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
3-22.
Do we have a motion on resolution number 3-22 per the, document that Nate just read?
You don't wanna repeat that?
Nobody's supposed to hand it down here. I'm not sure.
You have to read
We
my
just
chicken
write
scratch.
it. I don't know, he's going to go here and interpret if we do it.
I make a motion to approve the resolution.
Be second.
For a second, I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? One of the things we want to clarify, though, this is the multimodal grant, Nate, that you received that that was applied for by the Mountain Goat, what, 3 years ago?
Yeah, this is the last
4 years ago?
detail.
Yeah.
That along with the CEI training that we're still trying to track down the certificate on, that will allow this grant to move forward.
And it's like a 4-year grant, so we're moving forward with it. So, all
Now,
right.
why has this grant taken so long? Wasn't this the state or TDOT that kind of put a hold on it for a while?
I don't know what happened prior to us, but I know we've been working on this since we got it. And I know that it had to change over, we did it, and then if Debbie had to take training, I took some training. I know there was some misunderstanding, because we actually had a conference call with them today on the RFP, when it was supposed to go out in the advertising and how it was done, but once we get, there's 3 items that we have to have, and it can go forward. Okay, so I can't answer prior to us, I just know what we've done. Do you know?
There have been some staffing changes at TDOT, and there have been some lingering certification issues with the town of Monteagle that probably could have been communicated better with TDOT if they hadn't had so many staffing changes. So this is the 3rd person in that position since we got the grant. So that's part of it.
And sometimes, as much as we dislike it, the wheels of the state go slow.
It's all red tape.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for resolution number 3-22. All in favor? Aye. Then, now we have the policy, that for TDOT policy, for the consulting selection policy, funded wholly or in part provided by the Federal Highway Administration of Tennessee Department of Transportation. This was provided to us by Katie Brown, that is administering this process. So that's where this came from, that's in your packet. So, do we have a motion to approve the,
That's the 21 page.
yeah, that's the 21 page that they prepared.
I thought we just approved.
We just did.
He did the resolution, she wanted the policy done separately. Because Katie told me today, the policy's 1, the resolution's 2. That's why we had to do 2 different things.
I think you misunderstood it, but we'll do it.
Let's do it
Just
so we
suspenders.
don't have
Yep.
to stop. I don't want to have anything done to help me
No,
come back.
suspenders. We'll do
That's
it.
right.
So I'll make a motion that we adopt the consultant selection policy that is consistent with TDOT guidelines as written in your packet.
And I will second that.
All in
Because
favor?
it's the same thing.
Aye. Okay. I'd rather not have one little, listen, sometimes it's really.
I want a belt and suspenders at the
Yes.
same time before.
Exactly. Okay. Now we have first reading on ordinance number 11-22. An ordinance to amend the section 501 for the zoning ordinance for the town of Monteagle to include apartments as a use granted upon the approval of special exceptions in C3 per section 1107. And this would be the first reading. This is a recommendation that was made, by the planning commission a while back. Somehow, through changes of planners and things, the language of special exception was left out. So that was the reason that Sam said we had to go back and redo this to make sure it was correct. So,
And we have public hearing on this,
well, you want till the next one, see? You can do
Okay.
the first reading, then the public hearing.
and advertise public
Yeah.
hearing for sale regarding the zoning, okay.
So, well, it was, but it wasn't the correct language, so just like we had to fix other things, but we will have to do the first reading, we have to do a public hearing and a second reading to make the correction.
So this is an example where a strategic plan would really help us, because a strategic plan could help us inform whether or not we simply have too much C2, and whether we should change it to R2 where we can have apartments.
Exactly.
So this is,
A prime example of why we're trying to keep moving forward, Nate.
yeah, and so I voted against this last time because it didn't have use granted upon approval as a special exception. And I will vote in favor of it this time because it is special exception. However, I still think we need a strategic plan. I think probably we need less C2 and more R3, but
And I agree with
that's
you,
an
but,
uninformed opinion.
well,
So I make a motion, we approve ordinance 11-22.
Second.
any other discussion? All in favor? And then we will have another, she'll schedule a public hearing and a second reading at the next meeting. Okay, that is all, Alderman. Nate?
I touched base with Jared on tenure-based police pay structures, and I found the Department of Justice publication that talks about how to do it. Department of Justice is really in favor of it. The idea is that we set a pay scale for our police that rewards police who have more experience on the job, because research shows that you get better outcomes. You get a police force that's both more effective and more responsive to community needs. So we're going to work on having a policy so that by the time the next budget time rolls around, we can see what the impacts are. Obviously, there's a budget impact, because if you're going to pay the tenured officers more, it's going to cost more, because you can't take money away from people that are already working there. So we're going to work on the policy first, and then once we have the policy, we should have some budget numbers to be able to put to it by the time we start talking about the budget next spring.
Well, you know, our policies do have to go through MTS and have to be approved before we adopt them.
Yes.
We have to adopt them just like plans, so, and they'll also have to be consistent with our personnel policies, regardless to each department, because we had to go through that
Yes.
several years ago before they were abandoned again, so. Okay. Thank you. Anything else, Nate? Alvin? Jessica?
I wanted to thank the utility workers for putting down the new gravel on the, in the park out here. They put it down today. And it's gonna get rolled by the people from Marion County with their roller to make a real flat, nice walkway, probably in about 3 weeks.
All right.
No, I'll wait.
Okay, we do have your events. Do you want to
Well,
announce those
let's do
again?
the citizen comments, you know, what they-
Okay. Citizens, do you have any comments? If you do, please come up.
No comment.
Okay. Doreen?
All right, this coming Thursday, the 28th, we've got the Feast on the Street. This is gonna be in front of Horton Park. So far, we've got like 10 vendors coming, anywhere from, the donut lady, Mrs. O's Donuts, who sets up in town now. We got Sweet Scoops, Afternoon Delight, Bill's Family Concessions, Go-Go Hoagies, Stingers, Montana Coffee Company, coming in hot, Jitter Bean Coffee, and the Coffee Wagon. Now, all these people offer something different, so we really need to play this up, and hopefully they'll come back more than once. Okay, that's on the 28th, this Thursday.
What about
And then we've got the Fresh Neck Okay.
Is that list gonna be posted that we can share, like,
It's already on there.
It's on
Is
the
it?
website.
Okay, of
It's
the-
on, and it's on Monteagle Community News,
Okay.
and I've got it on mine as well.
okay.
It's on our Facebook site
Yeah.
too.
Freshman's Market will also be that night, and it'll be out here at the pavilion, and also Feast on the Street is gonna be from 4 to 8, okay? The Fresh Mess Market is 4 to 6, the same night, which is, could be kinda good, kinda bad, but we gotta get it started. This is homemade goods, produce,
Farmers market, basically.
yeah, anything, we don't want yard sale
Yeah.
stuff, we don't want anything that's not handmade. But that starts the 28th, okay? Do you wanna tell them about the Jeep invasion?
Yep, go ahead. Oh, shit.
So on July the 30th, which is this Saturday,
Here's a card, okay.
Signature Health, which used to be the Bridges, is, it's a new corporate entity that's taken over the nursing home there. They have, a lot of emphasis on having a community involvement in their businesses. And they are basically putting on a money raiser with Jeeps that come in and we can wander around and see the Jeeps and have food, face painting, vendors. It's gonna be a very nice affair. And all the proceeds that they, get from that one day will go toward the restoration of Hannah Pickett Park. So we'll be able to do more things in the park for people down the road. So I hope people will come and support it. It's from, it starts at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on this Saturday.
And of course, this weekend is also the mountain market. Friday, Saturday, and with Saturday and Sunday that's set up, and it'll be out here and Hannah Pickett Park in that area. And of course, everyone come out because they say that they've got lots of new vendors, lots of vendors that are coming in this.
I think they've got 149, something like that are coming.
It's growing, the NSA Day, it's the chamber, of course, we do support the chamber with this effort that they do. I think the mountain market's maybe 60 years old or something, it's been going on quite some time. And we do have, Jessica, $10,000, there is 10, new playground equipment when we get ready. I checked with Dale that today, with the 7,000 for South Cumberland funds, and then we got the 3,000. So whatever we get from this will go back into the playground. When we say playground, I saw people out here today, I don't know if they were adults and children, it goes up to 250 or 300 pounds. If they were out there, adults playing with their kids or their grandkids, and so it's just a really good, area for people to walk, ride their bikes, or to hang out with their kids. And so in this area as well as downtown in Hardin Park. So
I've watched some people walking on the new gravel while we had our
I did
meeting.
too. Well, actually, I saw them walking, and we may get some comments, but until it can be packed down, they're just now pouring it.
Yeah.
And they tried to pack it, but they've got to get a roller on it, so whenever Mr. Hoff brings his up, it'll be rolled, it'll be easier, but anyway, they're also gonna spray it to where it's, and thanks for, that was also another donation that was, to the town that we appreciate. So I think that's it. If no one has anything else to say, then we have a motion to.
Well, we had a Red Cross Day too.
Oh, yeah, we do
Right.
have that one, and we're gonna have it every year now.
Yes, this is gonna be an annual event. They had booths set up out there, they had smoke detectors and.
Grundy EMS was here, we had a couple of, was it child services, the Melton lady that was
Yes.
here. We also had our fire department here, and they wanna make that an annual event, and they are planning on bringing a Red Cross trailer in case of emergencies here, because they went on the other sides of the mountain, but nothing in this area, so they're working on getting that here, and that we can actually, if it's now we do have coordinators that if there's a burn out, that they go through the fire department, then we can assist those families. If they don't have somewhere, but there's a process in which they use, we are now qualified to do that. They'll just notify the Red Cross, and then the Red Cross will activate that now. They also have what they call a closet, where they give out certain items. I'm not even sure what comes in the packet, but they are now getting more involved with us. We were a Red Cross shelter, about 6 years ago, and then that sort of went away, but they want to do that again. In case there's ever an emergency, then we'll have that relationship here to be able to work with them, or a national disaster. So that's pretty exciting too. So thanks to Raymond. Forgot about that one. So, now do we have a motion to?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Hey, May.
My office ran out of my book.